I love using Dawless gear, but every piece of Dawless gear seems to have its strengths and its weaknesses. And one of my favorite things about Dawless setups is how you can combine different pieces of gear to offset those weaknesses and find something that works. But one thing I haven't tried, and I got a comment on one of my videos about, is the Seqtrack and the SP working together. And so what I wanted to do today was just experiment with a couple different ideas I have for using it. I'm not doing MIDI sync. That is probably a great way to do it, but what I actually want to use is kind of the way I've been seeing the Seqtrack as an ideation station, right? Make ideas on it, because it's really fun to program sounds. Like, I've got this drum going, and we can find synths that we like, get chords, and it's like, okay, we've already got a track. But it's from there where I start losing interest in the Seqtrack. Like, after the creating of the idea, I don't really like its performance aspect. It's a little cumbersome to do songs and arrangements besides doing the mutes, but even that, you have to kind of press this button. It's a lot. So I thought we could use the SP as our sampler, move the ideas into here, and then sequence it and things like that. Let's get into it. First thing we've got is this drum idea, right? And that's already coming into the external source. But what we're gonna do is go into the input effects. So this would be warm saturator. It's all right. Now that I like. You can never go wrong with 303 compressor. Do we want to put a little noise on it? No, let's not do noise. Let's do just heavy compression. Listen to the hi-hat. How much longer the tail of the hi-hat is when we up that compression. Is it without it? Compression at 100. I think we'll set it to about 50. Really brings up that sound a little bit. And then let's see if we go to bus 1, what if we put on, let's see what lo-fi does. Oh, is this going into bus 2? I think I've got the routing into bus 2. Oh yeah, definitely got the routing into bus 2. I'm thinking with this 4 on the floor style we've got, we're gonna do a sort of lo-fi house track or something. Okay, so let's, without the lo-fi on, I actually like it with the lo-fi, but we might actually record 2. Now, one thing that is awesome with the SP is we actually have all of that saved on skipback, but we can't set the start. Well, we can set the start and end point, but we can't actually go in and do it by bar or by measure. So we might use that later, but what we're actually going to do is go to record. I've got it set to the same BPM. Again, they're not synced, but what we can do is go over to measure and set 4, and we can record 4 bars of this. And if we set count into wait, it won't start recording until it hears an audio signal at a certain threshold. So that's a really good way to do it. We're going to put that on 13. And let's make sure we turn on the effect. And now it's recording, and it's going to do 4 bars of it. Yeah, I like that lo-fi. It adds that little bit of graininess to the drums, but what we are going to do is record in one with just the 303 on the input and no lo-fi, just to have it. It's always good to have it. And then I think we're going to do one. Yeah, we're gonna do one more where we take out the kick, because I'm thinking if we're working with longer loops, right? Yeah, one thing we could do is chop these up and create the one-shots out of it. But if we are gonna work with longer loops, I'm thinking ahead for when we start doing arrangement, and we're probably gonna want, especially for a lo-fi house type of track, a part where the kick drum is muted to act as a sort of bridge or calm down, to, you know, like just calm it down before it comes back into it. Okay, so let's record that in. I'm just going to record that one with lo-fi on, because even if we use the one that doesn't have lo-fi, oh, that one with lo-fi does sound better though. But even if we use this one for the main one, if we're going to calm it down in a part, it doesn't hurt to have a sort of lo-fi effect that takes out some high end and low end and stuff for the calmer part. It's just all psychoacoustic and things like that. All right, so let's record this, and we'll put this on 9, make sure lo-fi's on, and here we go. Ooh, we might have a problem actually. Hold on. I think because there's not a kick on the one, nothing's on the one, so it actually started recording late. So we're gonna set a hi-hat, and let's do another one right there and there. Oh, this key is a little stuck. Okay, now that's gonna change up the pattern a little bit too, which will be nice, so let's do that. There we go. Cool. So I also, since we're recording 4 bars, we could also just go in while we're recording, because of the Seqtrack's layout, and we can just change things on the fly. We could change how many hi-hats are hitting. Here we drop out a few. Nice little variation. All right, so we have our main one, and then that one. Now the nice thing is, since we set this to a measure when we recorded, we can actually turn off gate and turn on loop, and it'll just keep going. You can see loop set to 0, so it's just going to play right on time. So this is actually really fun if we want to test out chords or something like that. We've got our bass, and then synth 2. I already like that. So a really awesome feature on the Seqtrack. It is the synth track of the Seqtrack. You can change the mono or poly from monophonic or one single note, polyphonic, or a chord setting. And so this is just the basic chord setting for this. And if you're not familiar with how the Seqtrack uses these 7 notes, it's actually, if we go to keyboard, which is we hold Alt and hit key, you can actually see, so we're set to C minor. So we're starting on C, D, E flat, and so on. So it starts, this is the first note, and this is the 7th note. So if you want to do chord progressions and stuff like that, this would be the root or the 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From there, here's what I wanted to show as well. So we did skip back, right? So all that stuff we just did is actually saved. So if we liked what we were just playing, we could just export that. One problem that you run into with the SP is if you're set to mix on the routing, if we play this and then play this on top, and let's say we would go, oh, that was perfect, which it wasn't, but let's say it was, we could hit skip back, but now we run into an issue. If we wanted just that synth, we're out of luck, because when the routing is set to mix, it's recording both everything that's playing inside of the SP, but also the external. But we can fix that really quickly if we go to Shift Input Settings, use this 3rd knob and change it to External Instrument. Then the only thing that it's going to record with skip back is the external in. And so this is a great way, again, to just capture sounds if you're jamming or playing along and you go, I really like it. The one issue is that you will need to set the start and end manually. So if you wanted to get this sort of loop function where you could just trigger loops as sample pads and not worry about the pattern sequencer, you'd really have to do it right on the start and end of however many bars you want. So that's something to keep in mind. I think we'll try that, because I actually think we might just chop this up. Let's run it. Let's get some sound design going on the Seqtrack. I think we'll do 404 vinyl sim. I'm gonna do just a little noise. That's nice. I like that sound. Okay, I think we've got something. Let's just record it. Well, by record, we're just gonna do skip back. Okay, that should do it. Let's stop that. And now if we go to skip back, it's probably going to be this one. So let's just move it over. We are going to move that over to pad 1. And then let's look into getting that chopped up a little better. Okay, you can see there's a ton of silence at the start. I wasn't super concerned with it when I was doing the skip back because I knew we'd do it here, so we're gonna just trim that silence a little bit. So something I could have done that would have been actually very helpful is I think I saw on the old SPs, this was a trick you would do. When you're sampling in, you do the first note of the repeat so that you know you want to loop before that. That's like your indicator. Let's record in the bass though. Oh, I really like that actually. Let's up that scale. Okay, we're gonna record that one in too actually then. So let's show the other way we can do it. We'll go in here and let's get on all of our effects. Let's do 404. We'll turn off the noise. That hits the threshold. Okay, so let's turn on Kodama again so you can kind of get an idea. That does sound really cool actually. So if we put on loop, turn off gate, because this one we recorded with the measure, it's going to be a perfect loop, or should be. So we'll turn on this. So just to show you what I was talking about, we can do this. And then if we want to swap, do that. So we can do this sort of live looping with samples, but it requires perfect set measures. So you really have to do it that recording way, which means you can't play along to the drums and things like that. So you have to, that's what it is with Dawless instruments or Dawless gear. You always have to choose your battles. Like every single piece of gear has its issues. The other thing we could do is we could sequence this on the Seqtrack, record it. I always love that counted. But we could record it on the Seqtrack and then sample that in. So you could play all of your stuff, like run these drums. Let's turn off Kodama. But you could run the drums on Seqtrack, record on top of that, and then sequence everything soloed in here. But it just depends how you want to do it. I'm just testing out this idea I had, and I actually think this is a good way to do it. So let's get into pattern sequencing really quickly, and then we might do like a sound generator bass or something like that. But I think we've got this nice little pad. This would be for the break, which is cool. And I think we need a lead. So let's actually change. We'll go up an octave. Let's change the sound. We'll go effect, and let's change the effect to maybe a nice reverb would be good. We can also go into the keyboard, so we can actually just play it like that. Okay, that should work. Let's see what we got on skipback, and we'll see it's probably this last bit, right? Maybe here. Let's see. Nope, not that. That's a mess up. This, then. Again, we're not going to worry too much about the silence. That's it. Okay, let's put that on 5. Just so I like to think rhythmic section, melodies and or bass, things like that, and then our drums all here. That's just how I think on the SP. Let me know if you do it any differently. Let's do a little bit of resampling on this one, because I still think it needs more reverb. So we're gonna do Hadao. This is I think it was Levi, Solar Sailor channel member, that mentioned using this for a really long reverb. Listen to that. The secret is you have to shut mod depth. Mod depth is not the best. A little mod depth though gives it that kind of warble. One issue though, you need to switch your routing back to mix. Otherwise it's only getting the external in when you resample. So let's resample one more time. Let's fix our reverb. We're gonna set a lot, and then what I want to be able to do is almost automate while we resample. So we can kind of treat it like automation, where while it's resampling, we can change the parameters of the effects. I love Kodama on my melodic samples. I do it all the time. Okay, I heard a little click there, so we're gonna just add just a little bit of attack and release. And let's go into the start end. Okay, that seems like it's fixed. Okay, cool. Now let's go back in and we're gonna turn off loop and turn on gate on all of these. I could do it silently by tapping each one. So we'll do it that way. The reason is, I don't know if it's ever been fixed or if it's not even something you would fix, but when you pattern sequence and you have gate off and loop on, when it replays the sequence, it chokes or something. So I always just put the gate back on. So let's just quickly sequence this. I don't know what those are. I don't want to delete them right now. So we'll just start here. We will do, it's 117, 8 bars, and we're going to set the quantize all the way to 100 and quarter note, because really all we need is to just put each one on the 1. So I actually might just do all of them at once. One thing we could do, I don't know if it'll work, but if we separate that. Oh, hear that artifacting? So what I did was, if you hold shift and you change vinyl, we change the algorithms of how it does things. And so if you want to separate the pitch and speed, instead of when you adjust it, they all change, both of them change at once. If you want to separate that, you can hold shift and change it to vinyl no, and then there's a couple different ones. You can hear what it does. That third note though just does not work at all. Let's see if this one has some silent. Ah, it does. I was gonna say, maybe that's part of why it's sounding so off. Now let's try it. That's better. So you always want to check with resample. Sometimes it adds silence at the start. Okay, I really just wanted to test out a workflow for using the Seqtrack with the SP, and I think this is the one I would use. I would probably test doing some MIDI, but I actually don't do much MIDI from the Seqtrack, but this is really getting the best of both worlds, right? The Seqtrack, I can create these ideas really quickly. It's got all of these different ways you can perform things, the little keyboard, the chord keyboard, all of that, and then move that into the SP, and now you can do all of your effects, trigger things on and off, and sequence track in that way with the effects, resampling, all of that type of stuff. So that's how I would use it. I'd be curious, if you have these two pieces of gear, what are you thinking about in terms of workflow, or how do you use it? Is it similar? Is it completely different? This is a pretty cool workflow. It was fun to just experiment with it. You know what we got to do though? Let's make an alternate copy really quick. And we'll do this. Just those, and then we're going to record. Let's get Kodama on that, and then we'll do, how about SP404 on bus 2. So I'm actually pretty surprised with how this workflow came together. I just wanted to test a couple of ideas, but you really can never go wrong just sending samples into the SP and sequencing on there. And sure, I have my issues with the SP404 sequencer, but it is still a really quick way to just get ideas down. And I think this workflow really shows the strengths of both of these instruments, right? The Seqtrack is really good at making an idea. Then its weakness for me is the follow through, turning it into a full song. But it's very easy on the SP to do that. And if you want to see more on how I do that, check out this video next. And if you want to make the most of all of the many features of the SP404, check out my cheat sheet right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.